Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Haverhill Town Council Planning Working Party. Item 1, to note that this working party has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to full council. Urgent action may be taken under delegated authority given to the clerk or to the chair, and to the chair, I should say. Item 2, apologies for absence.
I've not received any.
Okay, thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest and request for dispensation. A, disposable pecuniary interest. B, other registrable interest. And C, non-registrable interest. No? Okay. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. To approve minutes of the meetings held on the 28th of February and 7th of March. Has everyone read the minutes? Yeah? Okay, can I have a proposer and a seconder for these two sets of minutes? Proposed by Councillor Liz Smith and seconded by Councillor Alan Stitchcombe. All those in favour, please show. Carried. Thank you. Item 5, matters arising from those minutes. Vicky or John? Vicky or John? Can you show them, please?
I can share them.
Right, thank you. Okay, this is the 28th of February one. Okay, Vicky. Page 410. Page 411. Page 412. Page 413.
That's it, Chair.
Thank you. And the minutes for the 7th of March, please, Vicky.
Just bear with me.
Okay, they've minutes for the 7th of March. Okay, Vicky. For 14. P23051. Solar. Oh, this is on the agenda. Solar farm. Okay. This is 415. 416. Oh, I did. Going back to 415, I did write to send an email to the new Croft, Peter Betts, and he's quite satisfied with what I said. He wasn't too happy in what we said neutral, and he thought we was support, and he was quite happy with that, what I said. Okay, thank you. Yep, 417, isn't it? Or is that it? Is that a lot? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it now.
Thank you. Item 6, which is Walter Hall Solar Farm. Councillor Dave Smith and Councillor Burns to give an update on the working party following visit to public consultation event on the 9th of March at Sturmill Village Hall.
Yeah, okay. I'll kick off then, shall I, John? Yeah. As you know, this is situated. What would you say? Opposite the Birdbrook Tavern, sort of like behind. I think it's called Westbrook. Most people know it as. And going northwards, it's where the Stour Valley turns, or the Stour turns north, goes toward Keddington. It's in that little corner there. It's being proposed by a company called Bluefield Renewable Developments, and they're going to submit an application soon. It's expected to generate 35 milliwatts of power, which they reckon will power up to 8,000 homes. I don't know if any of you know the Topham Farm one over at Lakenheath, which is owned by the council, West Suffolk Council. It's about 3 times the amount of power that gives out. They've got it on a 40-year lease, and they reckon it's going to take 6 to 9 months to build. Yeah, good luck with that one. They do have a construction planning, traffic planning in place. It would require the felling of a tree at the entrance. Otherwise, the lorries would have to go through steeple bumps to the village, and they want to avoid that. So I want to keep to the more major roads, as it were. There's not really too much to say about this. I mean, there's not really anything to object over, really. I mean, we asked questions about the hedgerows. Hedgerows won't be removed; they'll be strengthened, and new ones added to assist the wildlife in their passage around the fields. They chose that site because it's near to a national grid connection, so there'll be no need to sort of lay extended sensitive cables across the countryside. It's in a shallow river valley, so there shouldn't be any shouldn't be visible from the roads, and eventually the hard landscaping will grow up to cover it even more anyway, so that's not going to be an issue. This company runs over 100 similar things across the country, and what they do is they offer assistance to local communities through funding projects such as giving solar panels to schools and community centres and various other things. There was they written it. It will help West Suffolk Council reduce its greenhouse gas emission and in line with its targets, but I wasn't aware that they had any targets. So I'm not sure where that's come from. The public rights of way, they're unaffected, but there is the old railway line which cuts across the site, which Councillor Burns will probably give you some more information on, but as far as we're aware, that is still a public right of way, but it didn't show up on any of their records. And having said that, no real objections to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to Councillor Burns, Councillor Stitchcombe.
Thank you, Chair. Oh gosh, I've got so excited about the railway and looking up whether that really is a right of way. I've forgotten what I was going to ask. Sorry, I'll have to try and recover what I was going to ask. Thank you.
Right, Councillor Burns.
Colin, could you let Aaron in, please? I think he's in the waiting room. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I went there being a bit pessimistic, came away a little bit more optimistic. And we drove round, Councillor Smith and myself drove round where the site is afterwards, and we had a slight difficulty locating it, but I think we've eventually found it in the end, and it's definitely in a valley, which you probably won't see from anywhere. You certainly won't see it from the main road, that's for certain. As he said about the transport thing, yeah, I was very, very concerned that their plans that I don't know whether it's Essex Highways. It probably was Essex Highways, because apparently the Essex and Suffolk Highways are arguing the over who actually owns what bit of tree or hedgeway or anything like this, because the border runs right down the middle of the road, a bit like Bumpstead Road and the McDonald's thing. which we'll get onto in a little while. So the plan was they'd been told by one of the highways that the best way was to bring their lorries up through Steeple Bumpstead and along the road that goes up towards New England, which is a very narrow country lane, which is a bit crazy considering, they would have to come round the bypass to us, go up on the road to Bumpstead and then turn left at the bottom. Apart from anything, it's a hell of a turn for, especially an HGV, to be able to turn left there. So hopefully it's all over this tree, as has been mentioned, on the corner, which to me looks like it's had its day anyway, but I'm not a tree expert. In terms of the railway line, yes, the solar panels are going to cut right across the old railway line. Now, I'm not so certain whether it is a public right of way. I suspect not, but there is, I said to them, my concerns with them is actually who owns that bit of land? They said, oh, the farmer owns it. I said, well, not necessarily, because unless they were specifically sold it by what was British Rail residue back in the 1970s and later on eventually became Highways England as a quango, they may not own it. And I said, we've had numerous examples of farmers on that line knocking down bridges without permission and all kinds of things. And I know Highways England have been on to me about it already, because obviously the saga over the Sturmer Arches. So I did say to them, if you're going to do that, it would be really nice that you left that open and didn't put solar panels on top of it, because I said people do walk and cycle along that route. They don't get to the edge of that farmer's field and then do a sudden right around the field. They go across what was the old established railway line. So they were interested in that. They weren't. They did tell us they're the people who installed the solar farm behind High Point Prison. Same people, just to give you a bit of a local context. But generally, I just got the feeling that they were more conducive to talking to things. The fact they'd held in a public consultation for the locals. I think when we got there about 4:30, was it something like that? 4 o'clock, 4:30, whatever time it was. They'd already had about 30 or 40 people come through the door, which I thought was good. So hopefully I had a few more people coming on it. But generally, I didn't think it was going to affect anything. And the only thing I would say is it is going to connect to the overhead power grid, which is existing. And I did say it'd be much nicer if it was underground, but I don't suppose that's going to happen. Other than that, thank you.
Very much. Councillor Stitchcombe? You're muted.
Sorry, I'd gone to look at something else and hit the space bar to no effect. Thank you. Yeah, my question to Councillor Smith was just for clarification. West Suffolk Council want to improve their carbon reduction, carbon dioxide reduction. Are we talking about them personally, or for reduction within the territory of West Suffolk Council?
Well, it's the fact that by having this, it's taking the equivalent of 2,000 vehicles off the road. That's how they measure it, isn't it? And
so within
it's not the West Suffolk be reducing it. It'll be a cumulative effect, if you like. But as I said, I wasn't aware that West Suffolk actually had any targets.
No, but normally, if we hear about a council reducing their carbon detriment, it's their own consumption of energy, isn't it? It's their own vehicles, or it's their own heating, or their own whatever. And I had no idea they had, for the territory of West Suffolk Council, they had any target at all.
No.
How are they going to? They can't control it, can they? They can only encourage, and if they've got some grants, we'll have them. But I just don't understand that.
No, we didn't understand that either.
Thank you. And I think my other point was I am looking at an OS map. That's why I didn't have the screen up at the right time. And there is definitely no public right of way on the old railway across there. There is possibly, the other side of our side of Sturmer, but not where it goes across the fields there. Thank you.
I guess that comes under right to roam, does it? I don't know.
Councillor Burns, I saw first, and then Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just to certainly on the public rights of way. Yeah, I think it's more right to roam. It's been 50 odd years, nearly 55 years, it's been available for people to wander across. So it's not an established public, a bit like walking across Sturmer Arches, isn't it? You know, it's not actually a public right of way as such, but it is an established right of thing. I think go back to the West Suffolk side of things. Yeah, I think it's one of these things. They create a standard document that they use all over the country, and make out that it's badly worded because West Suffolk doesn't have, they're encouraging people to reduce their carbon footprint, of course, but they don't have a target. They have a target for their own thing, as you said, Councillor Stinchcombe, in terms of vehicles, solar panels, whatever else it might be. But they don't, it's not actually a target for the whole of Suffolk as such. How can you force people to do anything like that? Thank you.
Councillor Brown, thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned West Suffolk, but is it actually in Essex? I don't know. Okay. The other thing is that obviously the railway line. It's not just human beings walking along there. It's a wildlife corridor, so I'd be really reluctant to see anything done to any embankments or anything like that, sticking panels on there, etc. Hopefully that won't happen. And obviously, there's quite a significant loss of farmland. Is there any thing they're saying about that? So I don't know.
Councillor Burns?
Yeah, they were saying they don't restrict the farmer into what he can do. So, if he wants to graze sheep or whatever else on it, apparently it was grade 3B or something like that? Can't remember what they told us, but it was relatively low grade farmland. It's one of the reasons they've gone for it. But yeah, they said they could do it's a 40-year thing. That's the only thing. And they none of us will be around in 40 years unless the youngsters amongst us. To see whether it puts back to the way it was, but yeah, be interesting. Thank you.
Yes, just one little comeback on that. Sorry, did they say whether the panels are going to be made? They're not going to be made in China, are they? Ships across the world with slave labour.
Well, I don't know about slave labour, but who knows?
Well,
yeah. We go on about wind turbines. Where all they made must have been Europe, aren't they?
Yeah.
Councillor Sitcombe?
Thank you, Chair. Point of order. It's not showing very much enthusiasm for the longevity of Aaron, is it? Really, to say not many of us will be around. I mean, surely Aaron's going to last 40 years, if anyone will. Thank you.
Councillor Dave Smith?
Yeah, just go back on. You mentioned about it is wholly within West Suffolk, which seems made a bit strange why the actual meeting was held in an Essex village, but I suppose that's the nearest biggest village which had a suitable hall. So the decision is it's not going to be a national significant decision, so it will be made at West Suffolk Planning.
Thank you. Councillor Sitcombe?
Thank you, Chair. Shall I just share the Ordnance Survey map, and you can see that according to the OS, the railway has been ploughed in. I think I haven't mapped the the site plan for this development on the OS map, but I think if you have a quick shifty at it, you can see that really, although the embankments or cuttings or whatever that may still be in existence on either side, not actually right through here. I mean, as Councillor Brown says, the wildlife corridor may, in some sense, exist through there. There may be folk memory amongst the ferrets, for all I know, but there is no obvious physical mark on the land as far as I can see. Would you like to move to flash that up a moment?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, one moment.
Yep. This. Can you unmute Councillor Sitcombe, please, and show us where the relevant
myself, I'm just
is
that better? Right. So I'm saying Waterfall Farm is towards the north, isn't it? It's the north central of the solar development, as far as I know, and it's kind of running round the contour lines, isn't it, to some extent, and then down towards Fordwater. But I don't think it goes as far as east as Wicksoe, as the village of Wicksoe or Baythorn End. So I think all that area. I don't know if you can see my cursor waving around there, but
yeah,
sort of Ainsford and whatever who is Pump House, isn't it? Yeah. So all that area there has been ploughed in, hasn't it? I think. So I mean, I could look at the satellite imagery, but I don't think there's much of a wildlife corridor there. I think it's just, you know, whatever the farmer's doing to the field. Out here, past Wicksoe or towards Baythorn End, obviously slightly different matter. There may still be a bit of a cutting there, and clearly there is. Or is that an embankment there? I'm not reading my map symbols very well. I think that's a bit of an embankment there, and up towards Roost End, that's a cutting, I think, with trees sitting in it. So it's mainly this sort of area south of Waterhall Farm, isn't it, where the solar panels are going in, and up the valley to the north as well. Because I walk that east to west footpath, or parts of it, and take people up the hill to view the wonderful Stourmere below us. So there will be a slightly different view from up the hill, but we won't cry about that too much. Thank you.
thanks for that. Thank you. Councillor Burns?
Just leave. Oh, I say you could have left that on there. Okay.
I can. I'll stick it back if you like.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Just to confirm, the yes, I mean, what's happened is the farmer or somebody has been allowed to or has deliberately, probably quite a long time ago now, farmed up that the old railway line. But based on what I was told by Highways England, all of this land, unless it was specifically sold, belongs to the government effectively.
Yeah. So the farmer's just borrowing it, as it were.
Oh well, yes, yeah. It's not the first. It's not the only place along this line. It's got the same problem has happened. But yeah, in terms of the actual site where you got Waterhall Farm, there, it's literally just to the east of that, to the right of it, and it's going along the valley all the way up beyond where it says Lower Farm on the top of your map, and all the way down to the yellow road there. Which is the one we drove along. I can't remember what it's called now.
Fordwater?
Where it says Ainsford.
Ainsford to Wicksoe, yeah.
Yeah. So where that bend in the road there, the dotted bend into the just above Watsoe Bridge, that's the southern end of it.
Right.
So it's going all the way up there, but only over to. I think it's probably roughly where that, as you rightly said, the embankment starts on the railway. On the right hand side.
Oh, as far over as there, yeah.
Yeah, and going up, you know, sort of a rectangular all the way up.
And it's going up over here as well, isn't it? Past the
and it's on that valley or the hills of that valley to obviously face southeast. Yeah, that's where it's going.
I would say where Waterhall Farm is, that's only about a third of the way up the site. It does narrow as it goes up and follows the valley, but it is quite a way up.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
But that's not visible from, it's visible from some part of the industrial estate or an industrial estate in Haverhill, because you can just see a building or two, but, you know, it's not, you would have to be literally standing on the roof of some industrial site somewhere to be able to see it. No,
you'd probably see it from the Hill Farm there.
You see it locally.
Yeah, but what they did tell us that the panels are, I don't know if they used the word, but I think they were suggesting it's non-reflective.
Non-reflective, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you wouldn't get the problem with glare. That's it.
Good.
I think they're going to have a lot of trouble with Dedham Vale Society, to be fair. That's an area of really outstanding beauty up through the Stour Valley. I'm pretty sure the Dedham Vale Society are going to really raise an objection, to be fair. Now I see exactly where it is.
Right. Okay. Is there any other comments at all? Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Councillor Smith and Councillor Burns for that. Okay, there's no members of the public. So item 8, consider planning applications. There's no members of the public again. Item 9, which is the planning applications, which is planning application 1, DC 22 1423 FUL. Small a, 1 building comprising of up to 8 units for class B2, B8 and E, small g in brackets. Use, small b, conversion of existing agricultural building for bin and cycle storage and car parking. Small c, provision of car parking. And this is for Mrs. H. Pelly, Great Wilsley Farm, Wilsley Road, Little Ratting. Is there any comments? This is, before we go to any comments, this is amended. The amendment was floor and roof plans. After highways comments on the number of parking spaces, or numbered, I should say, numbered parking spaces. They never numbered them. And plus they wanted 20% EV charging. I noticed that the access arrangements and sustainability access arrangements for footway and cycle tracks are acceptable to highways. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, to be fair, I think we should, fully support this. This is small units. There's a shortage of them. I know this. Talks a lot of small businesses. There's some bigger warehousing, etc., especially all the stuff that's being built over towards Bury. We need to support small businesses. They're the ones that grow into larger businesses, etc. It's in a great, I think it's in a great location, a nice rural location. And I don't know, as John, I read John's comments, it's 100% right. That farm is a network of footpaths. There's a lovely track that runs up from the top of Chalkston that you can cycle up. It's hard in the winter. And the thing that makes me laugh is that they're saying it's not sustainable there. But Suffolk County Council wanted for the kids from Keddington to actually walk all the way through there to Samuel Ward School. And they was quite happy for them to do that. So no, it's absolutely, what's their comments are a bit bonkers. I think we should fully support it. It's great. It's a rural location, and it's something that we need. Yeah.
Councillor Brown, just to quote again, it did say on that, on their comments, access arrangements and sustainable access arrangements for footway and cycle tracks are acceptable. That's what it says.
It didn't say that earlier in the other comments, it didn't.
Obviously, there's been one since last time they sent it in. Okay, Councillor Burns, and then Councillor Stitchcombe.
Yeah, I mean, when you saw my comments about highways, I had to laugh tremendously, wondering whether they'd actually even visited the site. First of all, they're saying that Haverhill Road is a 40-mile-an-hour road, it's a 60-mile-an-hour road. They don't even know the basics. And then to say, oh, there's not enough parking. It's a massive farm, for God's sake. I just don't understand them, what they're going on about. And as Councillor Brown says, we're desperate for this sort of stuff. This is replacing the one that got burnt down, which also supported small businesses. Nothing's changed, really. You're not going to see it from anywhere. There's going to be tons of trees planted up there as part of the Great Wilsley development. I just find it extraordinary. This hasn't even already been approved. Why it's even come back for reconsultation again? As Councillor Brown says, I'd forgotten about the Keddington thing. Yeah, they were quite happy for kids to walk up a big muddy track in the middle of the winter because they wouldn't provide bus services for them. So, yeah, I don't know who the person at Highways is, but yeah, I hope my comments get back to them. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Stitchcombe and then Councillor Dave Smith.
Thank you, Chair.
I'm sorry. just that's Councillor Stitchcombe.
Thank you.
You must have crossed your arms, Councillor Dave Smith. Yeah.
It looks as if there isn't really an objection to sustainable footpaths, but if that rears its ugly head again, I suggest that we ask the clerk to somehow weave in the words source, goose and gander. Thank you.
Right, okay. Can I have a proposal for, I think Councillor Brown said about support?
Yeah.
Do you propose that, Councillor
do.
Brown? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Stitchcombe. All those in favour, please show. That's carried. Thank you very much. Application 2, which is 22-01217 REM. This is Braintree Council, because it seems an odd thing. Application for approval of reserved matters in respect of access, appearance, landscaping, layout and scale, pursuant to outline planning permission on 15-01477 OUT, which was granted on the 4th of the 10th, 2016, for the construction of access road and the erection of a freestanding drive-through restaurant with car parking, goalpost height restrictor, customer order display, associated works. This is land at Business Park. I've noticed, I've put notes just before I come to you. Highways have reported that no information has been provided since the outline application, which included transport assessment on the impact of the highway with mitigating proposals where necessary. And there's no priority for pedestrian or cycle movement. So there's a, I don't know if that's an objection or comments. I don't really know. I think they're comments from Highways. Right, is there any comments on this at all from the working party? Councillor Burns?
Yeah, I mean, this keeps coming back all the time, and Braintree don't seem to be doing their job. Suffolk Highways have basically said we want a full-blown transport assessment. Essex Highways have said no, we don't. So there's a conflict between them. Bumpstead Road is owned or managed by both of them, 50 metres either side of the border. So both have a valid thing. So I've gone back to the planning officer at West Suffolk today to say, can somebody knock some heads together here and find out who's got responsibility for the Bumpstead Road? Is it Suffolk? Is it Essex? Is it joint or whatever it is? And on the Essex one, they say, oh, there's been no change in traffic flows along Bumpstead Road for the last, I think they said 10 years or something like that. Well, they've never done a traffic assessment in 10 years, so I don't even know how they know that. I have also pointed out all the outline, that 15-01477 out, all the conditions that need to be met by the outline permission, which is to do with lighting and everything else. We all agree, you know, want the thing to go. But I just don't understand why Braintree are just not talking to Suffolk properly. You know, you've got the people of Sturmer Parish Council have not made any comments because they say they're quite happy for it to be here. That's fine, but you know, we all say yes. You know, hopefully it'll bring some jobs to local people if we can, you know, can get it here. It just seems to be going on and on and on. They haven't answered any of the questions that have been posed, including by this council and West Suffolk, about things like how do deliveries get don't mix with the general public and all this sort. You know, over the number of charging points. It appears that there's only a requirement for only 2 charging points, but equally, we came up with this one with the McDonald's at Rougham the other week at Bury. I asked for more charging points and they said, oh, we only need 2. That's the rules. Well, yeah, but that's the rules today. But what we're going to be doing in 10, 15, 20, 35 years time, whatever. And of course, we've still got, and what's not in this application is the totem pole, the 12-metre totem pole that's going to go up there. So I really wish that somebody would knock it. So that's why I've gone back to our planning office and said, can you get hold of your compatriot in Braintree and find out what the hell's going on with this application? Because it keeps coming back to this council, but no, they don't. Braintree don't seem to be doing anything about it at all. They just keep getting documents submitted by the applicant, but not resolving anything. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Burns. Any other comments at all? No? Okay, can I have a proposer then, please? The neutral. Councillor Lucrini, can I have a seconder, please? The neutral. Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Application 3, which is DC 23 0348 TE1. Determination of respect of development by telecommunications code systems operators. Installation of a small a 17-metre high slimline monopole. Small b supporting 6 antenna. Small c 2 equipment cabinets. Small d 1 electric meter cabinet. Small e ancillary development. And this is CK Hutchinson Networks UK Limited. This is on the grass verge at Beaumont Vale. Comments I've put is if the ground level, which is rather confusing, is included, and because it goes up, it shows a ground level thing, and it goes up to 2.5 meters. It would be 5 meters higher than the trees that behind it. But if it doesn't include that ground level height, because I can't work out whereabouts they're going to put it on that grass verge, it will come down to 2.5 meters above the tree line. Okay, any comments at all? Councillor Brown, I saw first, and then Councillor Stitchcombe.
Yeah, I'd like to propose objection for the following reasons. That's a lovely gateway to that housing estate. It seems to me that siting is just because it's the most convenient for the telecommunications company. I'm sure, I know they've said they've looked, but it's just a prime, easy site for them to do. It will utterly ruin the entrance. Every time I go past there, I look and I think it's just absolutely, it's going to look wrong. First thing you're going to see when you look at, instead of a nicely laid out housing estate with a grass bank, etc., there, you're going to see cabinets and a 17-metre aerial. I'm sure there is other locations where that could go. It's awful for those residents. So hopefully we can object.
Yeah, they before I come to Councillor Stitchcombe and then Councillor Rucrini, they say that it has to be that high to achieve the same coverage footprint as a 3G and 4G. Well, surely they should go to somewhere higher, shouldn't they, to put it? If they're thinking of that, if they're worried about that. Yeah. Anyway, Councillor Stitchcombe, then Councillor Rucrini.
Thank you, Chair. That was going to be my point. That
oh, sorry.
Well, no, we're overlapping. They if they're asking for it at a certain height, unless we want to start challenging their technical calculations, it is because they're trying to deliver a service. Councillor Brown's point is perfectly valid. Does it really have to be done there? I'm not that convinced that a nice slender monopole is that much of an eyesore. It depends how well it's maintained, how it is coloured to start off with and what texture it is and how gracefully it ages. Obviously, if it has rust streaks coming down it within a couple of years, it will be an eyesore. But I kind of think, I'm afraid that if we want the service, we've got to put up with a bit of infrastructure there. And, a lot of it is underground, or nowadays not sort of poles draping around quite so much as it might have been 50 years ago. But this is one thing that does need to be above ground. But absolutely, if we want to carry on pressing them to tell us, exactly why there are no other suitable sites, that seems quite a sensible thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Green?
Yeah, I'm happy to second what Tony's proposed. It is going to be visually obtrusive where they're proposing. It would be nice if they could tuck it slightly more out of the way rather than slap bang in the middle of a green area as you drive into a housing estate. However, I want to make clear that personally I am supportive of this rollout. As Alan was saying, there's going to have to be kind of a compromise. These are going to appear around the town. We've got to accept that to some extent. They can't just put them high up on the outskirts of the town. 5G doesn't work like that. It's high frequency signal, so it doesn't travel as far. So a lot more of them will need to appear. They do need to be that height. But yeah, but I think in this case, they could tuck it slightly more out of the way somewhere. I'm sure there must be slightly better locations.
What about behind the trees? Is there a plot there? Because I haven't been behind them trees, so I don't know what's there. Councillor Stitchcombe, can you help me?
I can tell you because thank you. I've been looking at the map lately because some of you may know that I put in a bit of I put in a report to Highways that sorry, I can't think of the name of the house. Vale House's trees are overhanging Sturmer Road, and I banged my cycle helmet on the overgrowth. And so I was thinking, well, exactly whose garden is that? And I realised it's an enormous garden surrounding Vale House. So it's the back garden, as it were, the non-Sturmer Road side of Vale House.
Oh, right.
Have I got the right name for the house? I think it is. So yeah, I mean, they may not wish to have a monopole stuck in their garden or at the boundary of their property, but yeah, that's what's the other side of that mound is the, as it were, the back garden of Vale House.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that, Councillor Burns.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I did send you, Chair, some couple of links earlier today. Despite what West Suffolk said to me, they said anything above 15 metres had to go to planning permission. It now appears to be anything below 30 metres. But for mobile masts under 30 metres, the main condition is that their sighting and appearance must be such that their visual impact on the surrounding area is minimalised, or minimised rather. Factors the local planning authority may consider, or must consider, a mast height in relation to the surrounding land and buildings, materials, designs and colours used. It will not assess whether the mast is actually technically needed or not. So this has gone in. I'm not convinced the land is actually owned by Suffolk County Council because West Suffolk think it might be theirs because they also own the land that's behind it going up Beaumont Vale there. We've mentioned before about why not put it up near the proposed McDonald's or somewhere like that, or even use their 12-metre mast that they're going to be putting up. Maybe chuck it on the top of that. But we're not obviously talking. This is about this particular application. And the other thing I sent earlier on was, and if I can show you this. This is a mast at identical company. This is actually 15 metres high. This one, you obviously can't see the top of it. It was rejected by planners because it affects the entrance to, I think it's Henley, and also the effect on the street scene around the places. So it is there. So that was rejected at the end of 2021 by coincidence, as I say, the same people. And I'm trying to get back to stop sharing. Hang on a sec. There we go. That is that. Obviously it's got the boxes at the bottom. What also concerns me is what I said in the email earlier on today is there's been no comments from any residents, which makes me feel that perhaps they don't know about it. I've had several occasions recently of planning applications issued by West Suffolk where local people have not been told about the proposed development, not even a notice on the lamppost or anything like that. So it really concerns me. You would have thought something like this would have brought out loads of people objecting to it. So that really worries me. And I think that's something we need to find out, whether who in Beaumont Vale or Bumpstead Road or what's the one across the road, Ashley Close, whether any of them have actually been asked about this, particularly the people who live on Bumpstead Road, who are going to look virtually directly onto it, and the flats that are there. So that really worries me. There's been nothing there. I don't know if anyone's spoken to any residents around that area at all. Have you, Councillor Lucarini, maybe?
Councillor Lucarini, thank you for that. Councillor Burns.
The initial consultation that they carried out, the residents weren't included. So that's annoying. I have printed out some letters today. I'll go up there tomorrow and do what I normally do with planning applications and post some things through people's letterboxes just so they're aware. The consultation's annoying in general. That the town council were consulted. I was consulted as the ward member. I sent some comments in. No response at all. They haven't even acknowledged them, which is disappointing. A previous consultation in the town elsewhere, I actually got a response when we discussed things, which was nice. But for some reason, this time they've just gone straight to planning.
Thank you very much, Councillor Greeny. Councillor Dave Smith.
Yeah, just a question about that picture that John showed. So, if it was refused, was it objected to, and it was still allowed to go through, or was it refused? But it's still there. I mean, that was a bit confusing to me. Also, seeing the pole on their plans, the pole itself is, I don't think it's too obtrusive if it's spurging back in with the trees. But I think the problem is with the boxes around the base of it. I mean, if they could do some sort of landscaping or screening to hide that from view, that may be a bit better. But I don't know. So, was that pole? The application for the poll refused in that other photo, or what?
Councillor Burns. Yeah, you're muted, Councillor Burns.
I pressed the button once. CK Hutchinson Networks was refused permission by South Oxfordshire District Council, the planning authority, to put the mast on the verge outside Swiss Farm in Marlow Road. It was in a visually intrusive and incongruous position on the A4155. The identified harm is not outweighed by the public benefits of this proposal. They were saying, the residents were saying this is sort of what we want to do. There were 77 objections to the application. Okay, it was a conservation area, but it didn't. Fears over microwave radiation. I don't know whether that is true or not. It is basically on the entrance to the basically saying on the entrance to the town that it would just be an eyesore. Much as a McDonald's sign will be, but no, it's just interesting. It was only one I found. I just did a quick search for Hutchinson 15-metre mast, and this one came up straight away, and there were several others as well.
So I was just asking, was that just a render then? That wasn't an actual what's there? It was.
That was just an example.
No, that was a artist's impression by Hutchinson.
Okay, thank you. I thought that was the actual.
No, it was rejected. Yeah, it's a 15-metre high 5G phone mast.
Thank you. Right, we've any more comments at all? Right, we've got Councillor Stitchcombe.
Sorry, I've misinformed the working party by not looking at the map carefully enough. Can I share my screen again just to show you some aerial imagery, just to,
yes, please.
just to really clear before we make a decision? Thank you. Sorry, where's my screen share? There it is. Share. 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 Yep, coming up.
Yep, it has. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the site down here, isn't it, where I'm waggling my cursor
Yep.
around? Here
Yep.
are the trees. Here is Vale House over by Sturmer Road. Way
Hold
up
on, I've lost
north.
it.
But
Oh,
actually,
it's way over.
yeah, because you actually, it isn't. It's this is Beaumont Court.
Vale?
Is it called? Is that court along there?
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Beaumont Court. So basically, you've got the end of Beaumont Court first, you know, so they're not going to really want a mast at the end of their cul-de-sac, are they? I don't know. And there might be a site in there somewhere, but I can't really identify it. The obvious place is in the back garden of of Vale House, but that is considerably lower by then, isn't it? That's way down the bottom. So, you know, you would probably want a massively tall mast because you're so many meters lower down. Thank you.
Yeah. If you go over the back of them trees, you've got houses, haven't you? So
yeah,
that
you
would be no
immediately
good.
there, you're in the back end of Beaumont Court.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I say Pete Allen's taken his map away.
I'll put it back. Don't
Please.
worry.
Okay.
There we go.
So you're right. The other side of the embankment, you've obviously got industrial site there where it could, you know, potentially go. Maybe it'd have to be a bit higher, but it's totally industrial estate there. That, you know, fitting with what's going on there.
That's shielded by the embankment of the railway. That's very low. I mean, I've walked along that embankment and looked down on that industrial estate to the right, and there is a big barrier there, and I think Aaron would agree that there's probably a shielding of of radio signals.
As I say, they could put a higher mast, but at least it'd be on an industrial area.
Yeah,
I'd have no objection to that. So where that is, it's just on that gateway to that estate. As you drive up and down Bumpstead Road, you're just going to see a collection of cabinets and a 15 or 17 meter mast. It's going to make a nice piece of grass with some trees behind it, look like another industrial area. All around the town, I know we need communications, but I was astounded to go past Castle Lane the other day. They got a lovely walkway, which I knew from when I was a youngster. Lived on the Parkway. A lovely flagstone walkway between the houses, and they've stuck the biggest one of these green hut things on there that I've ever seen. I can't believe.
Yeah, it's massive.
It looks like a hut in the middle of the pathway in front of the houses. It's absolutely outrageous. And they're going to seem to be doing that. We need communications, but it's got to be. They wouldn't put up with this in Holland or other countries like that. It seems to be, the rights of people making the money outweigh everything, around the people that, actually live there, and we have to look at that every day.
Yeah. Can you, before I come to Councillor Greeny, can you sort of move it up a bit? Because there's an industrial estate on the south side, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's places where it can go around there, isn't it, as well? There's not a dip there so much as to the right hand side of the railway walk, is there?
Yeah, but as I said the last time we considered this, I suspect this is. I don't know what the spacing has been on the 3G and 4G masts. I mean, remember, you've got competing networks here, haven't you, all duplicating. That's part of Tony's frustration, isn't it? We do it once with one fibre company, and then another fibre company comes along, does a whole new set of installations and what have you. It's the same. When my daughter worked for Ofcom, I used to bend her ear about it a lot. Why have we got competing mobile networks? That was a sort of competition era, wasn't it, for the first 20 years. Now let's have one company running all the infrastructure, please, like we do with the electricity. We don't have competing gas and electricity networks all around the country, for goodness sake. That's frustrating us here, but I suspect we're going down from a mast every kilometre in a town, maybe for 3G and 4G. We're having to go down to half a kilometre pitch now, ish. I haven't read a paper on this, Perhaps Aaron knows, but I suspect we're going to have a tremendous density of 5G masts, and this is just one of them. And it'd be lovely to see the bigger picture, wouldn't it? How many more does Hutchinson need to put in around the town over time, you know, to gradually put the signal capacity in there? Thank you.
Does anyone know who the company, you know, is for this 5G? Is it free or what sort of network?
That would be Orange.
Oh, it's Orange, is it? Right.
Hutchinson is Orange. But
Oh,
of course, they may be providing services to other providers as well. But it's definitely.
Oh, right. Well, I hope so. Right. Thank you, Councillor Uccarini.
Yeah, I think you're right, Alan. You know, it'd be lovely if it was a nationalised infrastructure. 'Cause we're going to end up with so many competing networks in town. It's going to be ridiculous. But you know, we just have to go along with it. In terms of suggesting other locations, I'd be wary of doing that, because at the end of the day, we haven't seen the detailed plans or calculations behind this. And even if we did, I'd probably have no idea what I'm looking at. The only thing is, you know, we've got to accept there are going to be a huge number of these masts installed around the town. Just saying let's put one high up on an industrial estate isn't the answer. You know, yeah, they could put one there, but then a few hundred meters down the road, they're going to put another one.
And another one.
Yeah. In terms of the cabinets as well, I believe that installing telecoms cabinets doesn't require planning permission or prior approval. It is permitted development. So, you know, they could move the mast slightly out of the way, but the telecoms cabinets could remain slap bang in the middle of that green. Again, just got to accept it.
Thank you, Councillor Uccarini. Councillor Burns?
Only if that land is owned by highways, which there is some doubt it actually is owned by highways. Because West Suffolk, as I say, they seem to think all that green land that's behind there, they think it belongs to them. I haven't actually checked the land registry, of course, spent me £3 finding out. I mean, the crazy thing, you know, I know what Councillor Uccarini says about, you know, the technology side of things is, but behind the house on Beaumont Vale there is land owned by West Suffolk. The whole, you know, all that industrial estate land where Clarkins used to be is owned by West Suffolk. Why not chuck it there? The logical place is only probably about 20 or 30 meters away from this location. And yes, the cabinets, but the rules state that you can only put cabinets there if that's the only thing that's being installed. If there's a mast, you still have to have go through planning permission. You know, I'd argue, you know, put it in amongst the trees, but I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, what annoyed me a little bit with their application is all the supporting documents as if there's no argument about it. You know, this is what councillors need to understand. This is what, you know, you've got to do. This is what you've got to do. Is actually there is always an argument against something. And what they should be doing is saying just the reason we want it here is because of this. There's nowhere else that we can get that signal to people. And what area is it going to cover? Is it for the industrial estate? Well, put it in the industrial estate. If it's not, if it's for the people who live, you know, in Beaumont Vale and everything, well, actually tell those people that you're consulting with them and find out, not necessarily whether they want it, but in terms of 5G, but are they happy for it to go there? And, you know, prove to us that that's what it's there for. You know, if this comes before planning at West Suffolk, that's certainly the question I'll be asking is, how have you consulted with residents? Thank you.
Very good point there, actually. You know, if they've got that many coming in, they should start consulting. It's not hard. It's easy to do. Might be a bit more costly, but that might hit their enormous profits. You know, it's scandalous, really. Absolutely scandalous. Okay, right, we've got a proposer from Councillor Brown, and I think Councillor Uccarini, you second that, did you? Right, Vicky, have you got the main notes of what Councillor Brown said?
Yes, that it's the gateway to the house and estate. It's visually intrusive and affect a street scene.
Is that it? Yeah, Councillor Stitchcombe?
Well, perhaps doesn't affect the streets. Sorry, I can't even say the word street scene quite as much as if they put it further up Beaumont Vale, because then it would be right outside someone's house. Do you know what I mean? It's okay, it's at the gateway, but it's not actually like
we can
opposite six houses, is it?
We can only
Councillor
comment
Brown?
on where they're located on the plans, what their plans are. And the plans are that location. It's up to them really to do a bit of homework.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, I may be wrong on this, but I think, that they need one in that area and they've looked for the easiest place to put it, which, to be fair, if it's costing me money and I was a big business, and could get away with it, that's exactly what I would do. But,
Yeah, but you haven't got profits that they have, though.
No, I'm
Councillor
saying if I was
Brown,
looking at it from the
the-
other side of the coin, but I'm not. I generally care around where these sort of things go, and it isn't my cup of tea to see something like that in a green landscape. It's just there's other. I'm sure there are other places that could go.
Yeah. Do we really? I know what Councillor Greeny said, but do you think it'd be best if we do sort of suggest another area nearby? Would that hurt, Vicky? Could we do it? Or Councillor Greeny?
There's nothing stopping us from doing it, but my point is, what's the point of us suggesting another location when we have no idea what calculations or the rationale of placing these masts are? We could suggest 101 locations, and they could all be completely useless.
Yeah, good point. Councillor Stitchcombe, and then Councillor Dave Smith.
Thank you, Chair. And I think, didn't Councillor Burns start off by pointing out that location is not a material consideration for this as such for the planning application? It's do we like the look of it is what is the material is the only thing that the planning authority can look at, or did I misunderstand that?
The planning authority cannot comment on the suitability of the location. Yeah, they can comment on it, on its look and feel and all that sort of stuff.
So we can comment, but it may be that that's barred from being a material consideration anyway. So we may be wasting our time, but that's okay.
Councillor Greeny, is it on that point?
Councillor Smith? I was just going to say that obviously there already has been kind of an informal consultation by the company, and they ignored what we said. So there's no point suggesting other location to them. We've now just got a planning application where we should just comment on that, really.
Okay, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not our place to sort of suggest somewhere else. We should just get to the vote now, I think. Thank you.
Are you satisfied, Councillor Brown, with your proposal then?
Yeah.
Leaving? Yeah. Right. Okay. Can I, Councillor Lucrini, you second that? Yeah. Okay. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Item 10, matters to report. To enable members to exchange any urgent planning matters. Anyone? Councillor Burns?
Only what I mentioned earlier on, I noticed on the West Suffolk website that the children's home in Hamlet Road, it says it's gone to appeal. But I didn't even know it actually even been determined. So whether it's a timing issue like we had with what was it? The old magistrates court and everything, where after 8 weeks of non-determination, Churchill retirement homes took them straight to appeal. So I don't know if that's the case. I haven't confirmed that with the planning officers, but that was certainly on their website earlier on today.
Councillor Green?
I didn't think that consultation had expired yet, has it?
No, but it says on their thing, subject to appeal now.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I can say because West Africa haven't decided yet. I think we've got until tomorrow to submit comments.
Yeah, but I don't know how long the timings were. If it was more than 8 weeks, they may have just gone straight to appeal. You don't even have to wait for the consultation to finish.
Okay,
It's the same thing, but I'm just mentioning it anyway.
okay. Any other comments at all? No? Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Item 11, which is dates of next meeting, which is the 4th of April. Thank you, everyone.